Killer Teen. Source: Deadly Women Investigative Discovery. Brisbane, Australia. The 2010s. Macedonian minority Sheva M. and her daughter Sonoma were living a quiet life in Australia themselves. Sonoma was the apple of her mother's eye. The Eastern European immigrant living on the Gold Coast, supporting her child every step of the way. Cleaning jobs helped Sonoma toward college, yet she was planning to become a professor at a university, financially supported by her daughter. Trip back to their homeland and nation of origin, she fails to keep up with her studies when she finds a young man on one of her trips in Macedonia, and that man was older than her. They fallen for each other all the same. Sheva would not approve of their relationship if she found out, knowing her mother, and at 19 years old only. She tried to keep her mother ultimately in the dark, but eventually Sheva found out that Sonoma had lied to her over the phone from her friend, unearthing the truth of their relationship, and demanded Sonoma return to Australia under the threat of cutting her off financially to resume her studies. Obeying her mother, the relationship became completely strained from there on out. She saw her mother as an obstacle to becoming a wife, seething at her mother and all that. The house was placed financially at the time under her name for 700,000 Aussie dollars. And the bank was that she decided to go to a bank and get $750 per week to rent the house out, which was up to a total of currency funds, which in Australia was $175,000, according to the bank. From there, eventually, one night, on October 28th, 2016, confronting Sheva, Sonoma had a brute plan to fix the problem, in which case she took out a plank of wood in the early hours of the day and brutally beat her mother to death in her sleep, crushing her skull and face 20 times. By then, she was dead. Afterwards, Sonoma called the police, pinning the blame on house intruders. Despite her suspicious behavior, by 7 a.m., the cops had already arrived. She said that before 7 a.m., intruders have killed her mother, and she unheard the screams. Police found her dead mother, deceased and severely wounded. But there was no evidence found to link Sonoma to the crime, even when she showered and washed off the blood before making the call to the authorities. She claimed that she was asleep until waken up by what she claimed to be intruders. Plus, she staged an exact house invasion before the same call, but was unable to properly hide the murder weapon. Police found it easier than they thought, under a bookcase in her room. She tried to pin on the supposed killer, trying to frame her with the blooded wood plank, but where it was did not make any sense to the police, and that increased suspicion. From there, at the police station, Sonoma was arrested on site while questioned by them, and in 2019, Sonoma was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in jail without parole, where a brutal and barbaric crime and act of violence against her mother, trying to throw imaginary intruders under the bus in the process Sonoma was doing, rather than take her mother's advice. Sonoma had then resorted instead to murder, motivated by greed and love.